Welcome to the Longest Take podcast. Thank you for tuning in to the Longest Take podcast. In today's episode, we are joined by Francesca Root-Dodson. Francesca is an actor, writer, and director, known for her role in the TV show Gotham as the character of Echo. She has released her debut feature, Free Spirit, on the NoBudge YouTube channel, where at the point of recording, it has amassed 1.4 million views. Francesca is a very talented artist, and she is also co-host of the podcast Critical Babe Theory. Please check it out on all podcast platforms. And I cannot wait to see what she does next. So please, everybody, welcome Francesca to today's episode. All right, so first things first, what are your top 5 favorite movies?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, I forgot. I should have been more prepared. Okay, so my top movies that I've seen recently, I'm just gonna go. This is not, I want to be clear, this is not like, I don't think these are the 5 best movies. This is just what I'm enjoying right now. There was a film that came out last year called The Beast or La Bête with Léa Seydoux. That was incredible. I would say that's one of my favorite movies. There's a film that John Malkovich made so many years ago that is actually in Spanish. It's set in, I think it's Chile or Peru. It's one of those 2 places, called The Dancer Upstairs. Those films are devastating. Okay, then I'm going to say Tim Burton's The Batman Returns. Is that the one with Michelle Pfeiffer?
Yeah, yep.
Right. Okay, that one. And then, you know, I like to think of movies of like what has the most profound effect on me. So what was the film by Andrea? Honey Boy, Honey Baby. It had Sasha.
American Honey.
American Honey, that one, thank you. And am I at 5 now? Yeah, I guess I am at 5.
I think so.
You know what? I'll throw one of my favorite films since I was like in my early 20s. So this is kind of basic, but The Departed. I always loved The Departed ever since I was like 20 years old.
Yeah, you know, funnily enough, I don't think it gets as appreciated as it should, but that's probably my favorite Scorsese movie. I love The Departed.
Yeah, for me, it's like so fun and so engrossing in a way that, like, I would say Mean Streets to me is like stylistically, has a stylistic purity to it that I really love. But like with The Departed, I'm like, I think it's also like I love the Boston. Like all the performances are amazing. It's just so fun. And I just actually saw a movie. Can I say something? I just saw
a
movie
go
today.
ahead.
Can I talk about that? Okay.
Yep, go ahead.
So I watched Caught Stealing today, the new Aronofsky film, and he was really reaching for that kind of fun. And let's just say he reached, and I don't think he quite grasped. But like it's like helpful for me to remember that it's hard to create that suspension of disbelief and keep something at that level of like where you're like, oh God, and it's really fun and it's working perfectly. That's actually almost impossible to execute, you know?
Right.
Anyway.
And The Departed sustains it for like, what is it, a 2.5 hour runtime?
Dude, it's
the whole
so
time.
Long.
Yeah.
It's so long. And like up until the last shot, which I don't think this is a spoiler, when the rat is on the railing, you know what I mean? You're like, you know, and I also think I saw the trailer for the new Paul Thomas Anderson film. What's it called?
One Battle After Another.
One Battle After Another, which is like not a great title in my opinion. But I was also just like Leonardo DiCaprio. He's so good.
Yeah, literally. That's probably one of my favorite performances. And when I was younger, when The Departed first came out, I was like, I wanted to like have my hair do the thing he did. I liked wearing the hoodies like he did in that movie.
Oh my God, the hoodies are so cool. Yeah.
I love it. He made hoodies cool in that movie, I think, at least for me.
God. I know.
I love that so much. But that new PTA movie actually is getting really, really good reviews. I'm hyped to see it.
It looks really fun. It looks so different than any kind of world in which he's in terms of the like fast. It looks great. The casting looks great. My only note is that I think the title's a little forgettable. So if he wants to take that, he can. But
or maybe he seems like the type of guy that might double down and make it even more like convoluted of a title, and then go from there.
Totally, he's so obstinate. Yeah, but I loved his films. I remember I saw The Master when it came out in 70 millimeter, and it was like,
oh, Lucky. That must have been great.
Amazing. It was amazing. It was just like, or what's another movie I'm gonna add? I wouldn't say this is my top 5, but I saw this movie. I saw A Different Man. Did you see that film?
A24 with Sebastian Stan, right?
Yeah, and I came out of that, like, I want a movie where I leave the theater, because I see movies primarily in theaters, where I leave the theater, like, changed. And I see the world, like, I couldn't really put my finger on what, but, like, I saw the world differently after watching that movie. To me, that's a sign of success.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially when it's something that you mentioned devastating before, but, a recent movie that kind of had that effect on me, The Iron Claw, it gut punched me at the end of there, but I got home and it was like snowing outside and it was at night, and I just like went for a little bit of a walk because I was like, man, that movie just was like, it hits you emotionally. You just got to like walk it off and just kind of
walk it off.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Definitely makes a great movie there. But I do need to talk about at least one other movie you named. I need to watch The Beast. I think it's on the Criterion channel or on Mubi. It's on one of those, but I need to watch it.
It's really good, but it is devastating. I mean, it particularly resonated with me in a way it may not with other people, but it's like that is an art house film. Do you know what I mean? It does not get more art house, but I mean, I'm sure it could maybe, but it's pretty art house. But I'm all about it. It's great.
Yeah, I'm definitely I think this is a sign for me to watch it, if anything. So, you've amassed quite a few acting credits over the years. What got you into acting, and what do you appreciate most about the process? Is there a particular project that was perhaps transformative or eye-opening?
What got me into it? Well, I used to be a dancer when I was younger, and then and I acted when I was a kid. So it just, once I couldn't dance anymore because I had a bunch of injuries. So then it just felt like appropriate to go into a different kind of performance. And I don't know, what do I like about the process? Occasionally it's transcendent. Mostly it's like, it's just another job. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it has the same, I think it's like very easy to glamorize it, but it's like just as mundane and it has just the same foibles as like any other job. But what I enjoy about the process is, occasionally you get a script or a character that's incredible. And there's like a few peak experiences, And I think like in life in general, there's going to be a few peak experiences and most of it will just be, whatever. But I can speak to like the two things that stand out for me is I was on a show called Gotham about Batman, or the Batman world, and I got
Detective Gordon or whatever it was like about his, when he was a rookie cop.
Also, there's like a young Batman and all the villains and stuff. So, and I got to play the Harley Quinn character on that show. So I was getting to play a psychotic killer clown, which was my dream role. So that being able to do that was really amazing, just because it was so outlandish, and I trained as a clown for a while, so it was a union of all these different things I love to do. And then when I was on Succession, that was definitely a peak experience, because they shot on film with 2 cameras, no lighting setups or anything. So it feels like you're doing theater, because you're just in the room with the actors. There's 2 cameras, there's 1 boom mic, and then your mic, and that's it. There's no other people in the room, and they just roll. So it's like it's like the way Woody Allen would shoot. So, and we would do the scenes, and then we would just like improvise for 15 or 20 minutes, and you would hear the whir of the film going. And that was really magical. And to be working with those people who were such incredibly good actors. And so that was another, I would say, like peak experience. I was also deliriously sick during it, which I think like elevated it even. It was kind of great because I'm sure I would have been I would have been nervous or something.
Right.
You know,
right,
but
okay.
because I was so ill, I didn't even have the ability to be nervous, you know?
Yeah.
So that was, I would say those are the two most fun projects I've ever done.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that about Succession, because right now that's probably at least on my Mount Rushmore. I absolutely loved Succession.
Yeah.
Were you in like in an episode, in a couple episodes?
I was in the first episode of the final season, and we ended up shooting a lot of, part of why it was a big experience is I ended up shooting a ton of footage, and now a lot of that didn't end up in the actual show, but I got to have this very long and involved thing. So I did, I was just on one episode, but it was honestly one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, I really miss that show already. I think it's only been like a year, but man, there's a huge gap in my heart without Succession.
I know. I think they should have kept going, in my opinion. They actually decided, it seemed to me that they decided, once they started shooting, then they decided to kill off Logan. They actually hadn't made that decision at the beginning, like in the writer's room. Yeah, so you could feel them kind of like they sort of just totally changed course. Anyway, but it was a great show. I wish they were still doing it. It was so fun and so smart, you know?
Oh my God, incredibly smart. I've never heard dialogue be used as like choreography in a sense. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like,
totally.
I love that. And with Gotham, I only caught like, I think the first 2 seasons of Gotham. I never stuck with it. I heard good things, but how many, what season and how many episodes were you in that?
I was on 2 seasons. I was on season 4 and season 5. So originally I came on and I was actually supposed to just be like a 1-day player. And then they ended up turning my character into an arc, and then turning me into, after season 4, then turning me into the joke. I'd been like, I don't know, the plot stuff is so interesting that I don't even remember it. But basically I started off as somebody's like assistant assassin, but then like turn into their girlfriend. And the Joker character goes from being not the Joker to the Joker. I don't exactly remember how it happened, but yeah, it was great.
Was that were you on screen with Cameron
Monaghan? Yeah,
Monaghan. That's how you say. Okay, yeah. How was that? Did you get a chance to really interact with him much?
Oh yeah,
off camera. I imagine on camera you guys were probably, you know.
Yeah, I mean he's great. He was like really good in that job, and it was really fun. He was like, I think we were a good match. It was funny because he had all these fangirls, so like people would like DM me wanting to know, like asking questions about him. It was a funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Dynamic. But yeah, he was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I could see why those two would be peak moments for you, because I mean, just especially Succession. I'm not going to get over that one. I just big Succession fan here, so I think that's really great. Before I go to the next question, what was your character in that first episode of season 4?
Did you hear about the ludicrously capacious bag? It's like, it was like a big thing in New York. Basically, she's this influencer who goes to the party and everybody like makes fun of her the whole episode.
Okay.
So okay. My name is Bridget, but there's this line that became like kind of went like viral or something about like a ludicrously capacious bag. So I'm that. I was okay. That.
So when I hear that come up, it's you. Okay.
Yeah, they were talking about me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I gotta revisit that.
I don't look any like my own agents didn't recognize me.
Really?
I look totally different. Yeah.
So that's the most recent season. So how long ago would have that been when you filmed it? From now, would that be like 2023 or something?
I think. No, it came out 2023. It must have been 2022.
Okay.
We shot it, and then it came out in 2023.
That makes sense. Makes sense. So switching gears a little bit, I believe Critical Babe Theory. Oh, sorry, I lost the. Oh, there we go. I believe Critical Babe Theory was started this year, a few months back, I think around April or something. What inspired this podcast? And is there an intersection between what you discuss or experience through the pod and what you come across in film or TV?
Well, the inspiration for it was my friend Sarah, who's the other host, came up with the idea that we should do it, and I said, okay. And I guess I have some outre political beliefs, so I was happy to talk about them. Is it related to film and TV? No. I mean, it's like very explicitly political. So it more feels like kind of like criticism or like cultural criticism, and no, it doesn't feel that related. It just feels like what was our friend saying? Our friend was like, podcasting is the only real job anymore, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, and just she's really smart and really hot, so I thought we would just, and it seemed like there was a missing corner of the market, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. And I guess what's the thesis with it? Because I only listened to a little bit of it, didn't get a chance to fully deep dive, but like what, I guess, I know you said that you're hitting a market that you felt was untapped, but like what's the goal? What's the ultimate goal?
I think the goal is that like the left has obviously like a really huge image problem right now, and really shitty messaging, and they're really annoying and nobody likes them. So our political goal, our political project is to like build up a new coalition on the left aligned with like anti-corporate economic policies that benefit working people. Well, I mean, I don't think Sarah would agree with this, but my thing would be like, but also like bringing in some more socially conservative values back into the party, such as like the importance of family and maybe God or religion and like other things. I just feel like the left has gone so far out on a lot of cultural issues that it's like totally unappealing to most people.
Gotcha. So you kind of want to utilize it as a bridge in a sense, because, you know, right now we have so much division. If you get something that could kind of tap into both sides a little bit, it helps, I guess.
Yeah,
you know.
I think most people don't. I think most people agree that rich people should pay taxes and that corporations shouldn't run our government. I would say most people think that, and think that like family is important and they want to do the best they can by their kids. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's a radical stance. And I think a lot of the noise on the left is distracting from policies and positions that would be deeply appealing to working people across this country.
Gotcha. Yeah. That I think that's a really good stance to go for. Because like I said, and like what you even said, it helps with, you know, kind of building that coalition, you know, instead of just straying even further away. Especially now, I think the time period now is it's going to remain pretty separated for a long time, for at least the next couple years. But you know, it is important to try to, you know, speak to both sides a little bit, and
like to be tongue in cheek, like we were like, well, what a better way to create that bridge with nice tits and a smile. Do you know what I mean? So that's how we're trying to build a wide tent here, you know?
Yeah. And what is that? I guess what's the success look like with that?
It's, you know, like right now, or you mean long term?
Well, kind of like where you're at right now, and then sure, like just where do you foresee this kind of going, or expectations?
Well, so right now, our listenership keeps growing every month. It's great. Our social media following has been growing. We decided to like actually do social media about a month and a half ago, and it's been going great. And it's funny because I've always been a little resistant, but now that I feel like I'm doing it in the purpose of something bigger than myself, you know, it's actually way easier, because I'm just not the kind of chick who's like taking photos of herself and then being like, let me put this on the internet. So, which is what I thought social media was primarily about, which I guess in some ways it still is. But so we're building our listenership. We're starting to do monthly in-person like events, like a salon, so we're doing one in a couple weeks where It's going to be about like using AI as your therapist, which I have strong opinions about. But anyway, we're going to bring someone to speak. We all have. The other thing is that like my co-host and I, like, we don't necessarily agree on everything. And like I have views that I think are a little more extreme than she does. And it's like helpful just to recognize that like we can be in dialogue about stuff. We don't have to like hit this like very narrow orthodoxy, you know? So in terms of success, I mean, I just want to build our listenership. And I think like from there, expand, like do in-person events, do like book clubs, newsletters, like live podcasts, you know, just like, and also we're trying to that is very different than like making art. Do you know what I mean? But because the goal of the podcast is explicitly political, you know? So what we found right now is like what we're bringing in terms of our listenership. Actually, I thought it was going to be for the girls and the gays, but actually a lot of the straight men, we're getting very positive feedback from straight men, which I'm thrilled about. But we're just trying to like bring people in who maybe weren't that interested, weren't that engaged, felt that like they couldn't fit in this really narrow box politically. So like that's our project. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. And since you mentioned it, I'm curious to know, what is your stance on like AI for a therapist?
Okay. Well, I have a lot of controversial. I'm like the worst person to ask about this. I personally don't believe in therapy. Therapy has never been shown in peer-reviewed studies to actually be effective. But like I get a lot of pushback around that. So I'll say, for me, I don't believe in therapy. Other people get benefits from it. That's great. But, and then AI, so separate from therapy, AI, I don't engage with it. I think it's totally destructive. They've actually recently come out with studies that say that even interacting with AI on a daily basis lowers your they were doing it with students, lowers students' cognitive functioning and IQ over a period of not even that long, like 1 or 2 months. So I personally, but I'm also like an extremist and kind of a Luddite. To be honest, I have like a flip phone, you know, but
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like I'm an extremist. So I understand that like I'm not out there trying to say that my lifestyle is the lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a crunchy ass hippie from California, you know? But so I don't engage with AI personally because I don't want it to denigrate my thought patterns, which I know maybe sounds crazy to people, but I want to protect the functioning of these neurons. And then AI therapists, that is an interesting question. I mean, obviously there have been cases in the news where AI chatbots, I mean, it certainly in one case of it appears led a young man to kill himself. But I think it's very dangerous technology that is being treated very cavalierly, of course, by Silicon Valley, because they're out for one thing, which is their bottom line. I'm skeptical, but we're going to have somebody come and talk who has found it to be a very helpful tool. So I'm like, I really try to be open-minded. I don't come in with I'm not like, this is the point that I'm going to have to prove and make. Like, it's all about open dialogue, you know? Right.
And I think that's important to maintain going into it, that it is an open dialogue. You know what? I mean, I don't like AI, especially in terms of like how you use it in the arts. I think that's always, you know, antithetical, I think, to what art is. And there was this video called Critters that was released, and they were like, oh wow, look at this, is an entirely AI animated thing. It's going to give Hollywood a run for its money. I saw this post on LinkedIn and I watched it. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is so lifeless. There's nothing in here that's human, and you feel that. So I don't think that it'll ever threaten, you know, Hollywood. But the only capacity that I could see like AI being okay is just like how we use Google to like look up something, and that's kind of what some people use it for. But like that's it, just like a different type of search engine. And then, you know, don't use it like they do on X. If you've ever been on X, they're always like, at Grok, is this true? Grok is the AI on X, Twitter, and people make fun of that a lot. It's a joke on there, but it's that reliance on using the AI to answer everything for you. Yeah.
Reliance. I'm all about, I mean, I think that there's easy ways to poke holes in this argument that I'm about to make, so I understand that. But I'm all about not building reliance in general. You know, I remember when I first got my flip phone, not having maps on my phone, not having the internet on my phone, not having maps. Suddenly, I had to figure out where I was going. I had to memorize or write down where I was going. And then if I couldn't figure it out, I either had to ask another citizen for help or I had to abandon the quest. You know what I mean?
Abandon the quest, yeah.
And it just like became, but you know what? I have a good sense of direction. Do you know what I mean? And I have been able, like, all these tools that I thought I needed, I feel like I learned I actually don't need them. And I think I'm wary of corporate dependence being sold to me all the time. But that's my personal view on the world, where I'm always like, what are you, you know?
Yeah, what are you trying to sell me?
What are you trying to sell me?
You're not trying to help me. You're just trying to sell me something. What is it? Yeah, I can understand that. When I use maps, I usually use it like the first time I go somewhere, but I try to make it a thing to memorize the directions for when I go there again.
But I think that that's rare, because I feel like most people I know, what struck me is I would like go back home to hang out like in the Bay Area where I'm from. And some people would use maps even though they grew up there too. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yo, you should know how to get around here. You're from here. But I just like think it's like that inadvertent dependence, you know, that's what the tech companies are really trying to build. But I agree. So like, to me, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's like you put it into your brain and you get those pathways set.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And for me personally, I think that stemmed from back in the day when I first started to drive and everything. It was MapQuest, printing it out on paper. Yeah. MapQuest, print it out on paper, get the directions, and that's what you did.
You know what? Yeah. I actually had to go somewhere really complicated a couple months ago, and I knew that I wouldn't just be able to memorize the route, so I MapQuested it.
MapQuest still exists? Like,
it still exists.
Wow. I'm surprised.
For probably the 85 and older crowd, but it was amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I should start doing that again. Just print out directions instead of using the phone. There's always value added to that. But awesome. So getting to your movie, you know, the biggest reason that I reached out to you is because I watched this and I like this a lot. So your film Free Spirit has hit over 1 million views on NoBudge. How was it selected for the channel? I'm impressed, especially so because on a channel with many shorts under 10 minutes, they put on your project, which is at about, I think, 75 minutes. So that alone, I think, is pretty impressive that they selected it being, you know, so much longer than what they usually have.
You know, honestly, I can't remember how I got on NoBudge, but my hunch, because I released the film like a month or even a week before I gave birth to my oldest daughter. So I was like distracted. I think it was probably through my manager, whose name is Don, whom I love and I've been with for years. I think he had a contact there, and I reached out to them. I'd done a festival run with the film, and then they were interested in, at first it was just like a set amount of time, and then I think we decided to like leave it up. Also, because I was sort of shocked that it had gotten all those views. I was really shocked. So then I was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll just, that's great. You know what I mean? Just how it felt like as a filmmaker, an indie filmmaker. I was like, I can't believe that many people have seen this, you know? It was amazing. Right. So, and then I just decided to keep it up for posterity. Yeah.
And there you go.
Because I like put it out in the world. And what I will say is, you know, maybe someday I'll take it down, and it would be amazing opportunity to be able to like sell it to some kind of whatever. But for now, I'm just so grateful to have people out in the world watching it. So, yeah,
that's awesome. And how did that festival run go? Did you get to play it in actual theaters, or was it like festivals that are, you know, a lot of those online festivals?
No, I got to do it in actual theaters. I was very, very pregnant, so I wasn't able to attend some of the screenings. So I think I probably didn't get the full experience. that I would have had. But yeah, I did get to go to one festival and see it on a huge screen, which was in like a huge screen. Like kind of as almost as big as they get in a movie theater. And it was incredible. Yeah, it was incredible. It was at 7:30 in the morning, but it was incredible.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. I have yet to experience something I've done on like an actual theater screen, so that would be amazing. What was this, 2019?
That's 2019, yeah, because I gave birth December 2019, so that would have been just in the few months leading up to it. Yeah.
Awesome. And you said you're oldest, so how many kids do you have now?
I have two. I have a 5-year-old and an almost 4-year-old. Aw.
Yeah, it's funny because my son was born in July of 2019. So that was 2019. It's like everybody somehow knew that COVID lockdowns were going to happen, so they did what they could before.
He was like 3 months old when COVID happened, so it was just her. We were on her like white on rice. You know, it was great. It was great. I feel very lucky to have been able to spend that much time with her.
Yeah.
When she was a baby.
I agree. It was just a lot of parental anxiety about if we ever went anywhere, but I was going to get that regardless of what's going on.
Yeah. You know, we just didn't go anywhere for like years. So, which is the other side of the coin. But, it was just me and my baby in the woods.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. That's awesome. So there's this filmmaker, Richard Linklater. I love him. One of my favorites. I'm sure you're familiar. One of his best projects, and I consider it just one project, is his Before trilogy, Before Sunrise, Sunset, Midnight. I feel that Free Spirits captures that same French New Wave energy, and it's also black and white, which, you know, goes with that too. It is also a personally intimate film for you, I'd imagine, because you're co-star with your then partner. You know, what was the origin, I guess, of writing the project, and what were some of those inspirations for writing it?
You know, so I was directly inspired by Before Sunrise.
Oh, awesome.
So, and you know, what was happening at the time is I had another film that I had written that was based on a short story I'd had published, but it was a bigger film. Like, I would say probably like a $3 million film. And I'd taken a bunch of meetings, but at the time the material was a little risky and people were like, and, but I really wanted to make a movie. And so I ended up I'd always loved those Linklater films. I love him in general, but that trilogy specifically. And I just wrote the film in like 2 weeks, inspired by that. But I wanted to make like the unloved story. Like, I wanted to make the dark promise of that film. You know, because I do think that something, although it's like youthful and maybe foolish, like something is really happening with them. But I wanted to make something that was a commentary on how like you can slot in these sort of affections to fulfill personal needs when there's nothing there. And I feel like both characters are doing that in this film. So yeah, I wrote it like in 2 weeks. We shot it maybe a month and a half later. It was like a real whirlwind. I was raising money for production while I was in production, which was terrifying, you know, but I feel like I was lucky to not know anything about what I was doing, because if I had known more, I probably never would have done it, you know. But yeah, I made this film. We shot it in 2 weeks. We stole all of our shots on the street. We got no permits, and it was completely magical.
Yeah, I love that. I think they call it guerrilla filmmaking, when you just like go and do it without permits. Werner Herzog does that, and I mean, he does it out in other countries and stuff.
Yeah, he's wild.
I love him. Yeah. Like, his movies aren't like ever in my top 5, I'd say, but he's probably my favorite director.
I just feel like he's like a national, I guess not a national, whatever, like a global treasure. He's just like an artistic treasure.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that he exists in the world as he does, interacting with it, making his work. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, I love it so much. But I love the description of calling it an unloved story. There's an authenticity to that, you know, like you said, when we depict something that is, you know, either soft and romanticized, or kind of how you said about, you know, slotting in how the characters slot in. What do you think is most important with what themes or messages are presented in a film, or perhaps how they are presented?
Well, I guess the first thing is that when I'm making work, which like a film or a play or write any kind of writing, is that I want everything to be a little hard to put your finger on. Do you know what I mean? Which is like, I guess I'm just thinking in my mind, which is like in kind of in juxtaposition with like the podcast and more political stuff. Like, I think some art has to be inherently not apolitical, but it has to be like, what's it called when you sleep with a lot of people? Promiscuous. Art has to be has to be fundamentally promiscuous in its ideas, and you can never quite tell where it's settling. So when I made Free Spirit, I don't know if this is maybe, I'm so heady today, so I don't know if this is not an answer to your question. But like when I made Free Spirit, I wanted to speak to like this woman, she's in this kind of state of self-obsession where she's suddenly on the precipice of, this is not in the film, but the backstory is that she like basically she had a husband who's way off in Italy, who's older, and she was gonna keep trying to like make it on her own in New York, but she's come to this precipice where she just can't do it anymore, and so she's about to leave and sort of give up her freedom or her youth to get stability. And so this last night where she meets this guy on the train is like, she's wondering if that's another answer to save her and save her situation. And she like tries him on for size and then discards him. And he, on the other side, is looking for like, you know, I think this like manic pixie dream girl vision, which is like also doesn't really have anything to do with the person who's the center of the infatuation. Do you know what I mean? It's like fulfilling your own needs. Just like I've tried to rewatch, what's it called? The Garden State. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just like, she's not real. And I don't think Zach Braff wants her to be real. Because if she was real, she wouldn't be serving the role that he needs her to serve, which is somebody who's eternally out of reach. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that it's important to make your character feel as real as possible. At least, you know, like kind of like what I said about authenticity. I think that at least for me, it's important to feel that when you're watching something. Because if it's like you're watching Garden State, like you say, you can't even really watch it anymore because you're like, well, that's not real. That's not, I don't know.
And you know what? Honestly, not to talk shit, but that's a little bit how I felt in Caught Stealing today. I was like, it has a lot of fun ideas. Some moments work, but I was like, it just doesn't feel real. I'm not even able to suspend disbelief, which is like, that's baseline stuff in a movie.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Without that, you don't really have anything, you know?
Yeah. And I think something else that helps is if you could feel that the filmmaker is sticking to their convictions or their theme, it helps with the audience. And if you're sitting there as an audience member and you could tell, because like I haven't seen Caught Stealing yet. I'm definitely going to see it because I love Aronofsky, but since it's a very not Aronofsky movie, I feel like that's going to be a part of it. Yeah.
It's not, I'm like, Mother, say what you will about Mother, but I saw it in theaters and I had an experience.
Yeah. I like that one a lot too. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's like a flawed film, but like what it achieves is, whereas this was like a normal film and I could feel him pushing, like there's a sort of sex scene and I just felt like I wanted to be like, Darren, like I can tell you haven't really had fun sex like this. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was just like really pushing for something he didn't have access to, you know? But it's good. Everybody gets to expand and try new things. It just didn't like, whereas with Mother, I was like caught immediately, even though it's completely unrealistic. They live in a house tree. It's an allegory for time. You know what I mean? Yeah. The whole thing is just like a big, you know, it's, you got Cain and Abel, you got God, you have, you know, the Mother Nature and it did what it was supposed to do. I loved that about it.
Did you like The Whale? Did you see The Whale?
I couldn't engage with that. I couldn't engage with it. I remember reading about the play when it came out, and like there's a certain line of criticism of certain works, which like there's this book called A Little Life by Hanya. I can't remember her freaking name. She's the editor of T Magazine. It was this book that everybody was reading. It was like a bestseller. Anyway, it's like almost like I call it like misery porn.
Yeah.
And I can't engage. So anyway, I did not watch it. What are your thoughts on it?
So I liked it a lot. When I'm in the mood, I really love super depressing things, which that absolutely fit. But I guess misery porn is kind of a good way to describe some of Aronofsky's other work. Like Requiem for a Dream. Did you
I
like
can't,
that? Okay,
I can't.
yeah.
The drug use. I mean, should I? I just like the dildo scene. I've like had people tell me about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's intense. I'm very impressionable also. So like when I'm in a movie theater, I'm usually like I'm like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Basically.
Right. But you know what? I mean, that would like my biggest point being that The Whale is very much an Aronofsky film though at the end of the day. In that sense, kind of like how with Mother it's philosophical and out there in the same way that like The Fountain is.
Yeah.
And yeah, Requiem for a Dream is great, but I think to what you said, it's more misery porn, honestly. Yeah. It's pretty bleak. So if you feel brave enough, you could watch it, but otherwise maybe not. Okay. But I'm impressionable in the theater as well, but in the sense where it's like it'll be a movie that's not emotional or not even maybe all that great, but like I tear up in certain scenes just because like it's kind of like therapy for me in a sense of watching movies. I like going to the movie. I watch them by myself most of the time in the theater. Me too. And I just I like feeling like emotional about things, like when the heroic moment happens. Right,
catharsis.
Exactly.
That's what the Greeks talked about with Greek theater, catharsis. Yeah, exactly.
So like a heroic moment happens on screen, or the monologue happens that's super emotional, and I'll just like tear up in there, and I'm like, well, glad no one's here with me, but it's
great.
Yeah.
I remember when I saw La La Land in theaters, I was crying and I was so mad because I felt so manipulated by the movie and I was so angry at the movie, but I was still crying, you know? Anyway, that was an experience. I've never had that where I was like crying, but I was like, you know?
Right. Yeah. That I love that movie too.
I mean, there are elements of it that work really, really well. He's not my favorite director. Damien Chazelle, whatever the hell his name is. He's not my favorite, but there are parts of that really work. There are other parts of it that drive me crazy. I just feel like he's a little manipulative as a filmmaker, but whatever. Yeah.
Do you mean like just in the classic cinematic sense of like emotional manipulation where
because I'm like, why am I crying over this couple that's breaking up when literally they're like supposed to have the love affair of the century, but then they're like, oh, we're not gonna live in the same place for 9 months. I guess it's over forever. You're like, you don't even want to try. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how is this the love story of the century if you just are in different cities for 9 months? Like, are you fucking high? I mean, maybe I should rewatch it, but I was just like, what? Also, neither of them can sing or dance.
Oh, you don't think so?
Oh, no. I mean, as like a former professional dancer.
Yeah, you're looking at it more critically. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, where I was just like, this is no Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. Okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. That makes sense. And I will say, Damien's movies, just the thing that I've always appreciated about them is the energy. He's always got like a bunch of energy in him. And I like that.
He's super energetic. And you know what? Even though I don't think Babylon worked, I appreciated the swing that he took.
Yeah. And I just watched that recently, and I probably liked it a little more than you, I think. But yeah, at the end of the day, I was just like, hey, love that he did this though.
He's trying shit. He's really trying shit. Yeah.
That as a filmmaker, I think that I appreciate it more when they take those swings, even if it doesn't hit. It's just like, fuck it. I love that you did that. It didn't work for me, but keep doing that, push the envelope, And I was gonna say something else. Oh, going back to the unloved thing. So this is something that I just thought about, and I know in comparison to Before Sunrise was very much like that love story. It's kind of got that happy end if you assume that they did meet. I feel like Before Midnight was, and I had this argument with someone recently, a friend of mine. I feel like the end of Before Midnight was kind of like an unloved type of ending for that series.
I don't think I ever. Is that when they're the oldest?
Mm-hmm. You didn't watch that one?
I'm afraid of watching it and being disappointed because the second one's actually my favorite.
Oh, I love the second one too, but the way
the second one ends when she's dancing and she's like that plane. Oh my god, she's so good. So should I man up and watch the third one?
So it depends if you want like this romanticized image, maybe not, because I feel like the third one takes a more realistic approach to I'm not at their age yet that they were in that one, but just being in marriage, having a couple kids, and just kind of like there's a lot more conflict between them, and it ends, in my opinion, on like more of a downer note, at least pertaining to their relationship. But I love that about it because to me that feels more realistic.
That's honest. Yeah, it's real. Totally.
Yeah, totally. So I guess you should watch it. But
I just haven't wanted to see them age. I'm like, I just want to know what I mean. Time is so depressing. I was like, maybe if I just don't see them, it's like it never happened.
Right. You get your ending in your head of what actually happened. But if you do watch it and you don't like it, you could just blame me. That's fine.
Oh, I love anytime. Almost. You know what, though? I saw a movie I almost walked out of a couple of days ago that was so patently awful. I don't know how it got money. The Roses.
Oh, I didn't watch that. That's with Benedict Cumberbatch?
Do not watch it. This is an anti-promo pitch for that.
Okay.
I just wrote a romantic comedy, so I was like, oh, let me just see what's out there. You know what I mean? And I try to see as many movies as I can. Anyway, don't do it. I won't. It's not even worth getting into why. Just don't go.
Okay. What about the performances? Because I like Olivia Colman and Benedict Cumberbatch usually.
Yeah, the film is so clownishly inept that they are completely wasted.
Oh man, that's a bummer. Yeah. I will say, since you said you wrote a romantic comedy, I really liked Materialists.
Oh wow, that is a controversial position.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, but here's my thing on the Materialists. Mm-hmm. She spends the whole movie really building this intricate defense of like, it's about the math. And so you're kind of like, oh shit, like maybe it is about the math, And then at the end, she pulls the rug out from under you and she's like, it's not about math, it's about love. And I'm just like, no bitch, much less Celine Song herself, would choose an out of work, broke ass, going nowhere, whiny fucking Chris Evans over a carroted out. Did you see that ring?
Yeah.
Pedro Pascal. I was like, she doesn't. I just felt like Celine Song betrayed herself, which is why I was like, bitch, I know you would go for the money because you just did such a good job of convincing all of us that's the right thing to do, but you felt guilty about it. So then you had to pull a fast one on us in the end. And if you were going to do that, you should have switched the casting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, definitely interesting take. And I understand where you're coming from with that. I perceive the movie as more of not like a satire on just that personality of Dakota Johnson in the movie. Uh-huh. But I feel like it was more so it was kind of supposed to be a negative portrayal by the end of it. And her going back to him, I read that more so as she was just settling. It was something that she was so sure on not to do or whatever with like you said about her math. I felt that the ending was just, she was whatever, and I thought that was a good antithesis to materialism. And that's kind of, so I kind of looked at the whole project as an antithesis to materialism in that sense. Or maybe because I loved Past Lives so much, I could also be putting a lot into her next project. But
I mean, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's an amazing playwright. I just felt like, I think it all could have been solved with casting. I just think like Chris Evans.
That's a very tough sell.
He's just so deeply unappealing to me personally.
Right.
Like if the positions if they had swapped, and originally I read for it a bunch of times. Originally Jeremy Allen White was supposed to play the broke actor.
That would have been perfect, I think.
Yeah, because like he has a depth and a soul.
And shameless, like he's
charisma, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, it could have been a casting problem, but I was incensed. But I think your point is actually subtle and smart, and I'm not that smart, so I just saw the outside things and I was like, so.
And also, I think Chris Evans just being this huge Marvel star, it's hard for anybody to just believe that he's the broke actor. He just, I don't know, he just doesn't sell it for me.
He doesn't sell it. He's gotten really weird work done on his face. His hair plugs are all fucked up. I'm just like, you can't, I'm not going to buy you as a broke actor if you have like $25,000 worth of injections in your face. You know what I mean? I'm super anti-injections. I wish that all actors would stop knifing themselves up. It's just so alarming looking to me personally, but...
Yeah, no, I could agree with that, because anytime anyone gets any sort of work done, like you could tell, and that
I can tell.
Yeah,
I can tell. My animal eye is looking at you, being like,
something's uncanny,
yeah.
You know,
and like that takes away from the filmmaking. Whereas, like in the new, what is the title? I can't remember for the Paul Thomas Anderson battle.
One battle after another.
One battle after another. Leo's face. He's got all these wrinkles, and I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I can just look at this man. I don't have to think and worry. It's like looking at Gene Hackman or something. It's just a man who's an actor who's good. He's in a scene doing things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Ugh.
I was listening to a podcast that I know we're on this topic, and this wasn't even a question, but I love this. But I was listening to a podcast where they were just talking about, I think they were doing hot takes, but one of the things they said was about how, like, anytime a guy in like action movies takes their shirt off, it's just like this very chiseled figure, and how like you got someone like Leo DiCaprio where when he does his, he doesn't have that. He just has like a naturally kind of fit looking body, and just like, I don't know, it pulls me out of it too a little bit, because I think about how their training regimen and how they have to dehydrate themselves for like a certain amount of time.
Yeah, but also, so like Austin Butler I'm sorry, I literally saw this today, so this is why this is so top of mind. Austin Butler in Caught Stealing is like a former baseball like star, but who's just like hasn't played for years and is a bartender, and that motherfucker is so built. I was like, he would have to be hitting the gym 2 hours a fucking day to look like that. It doesn't make sense in this world. Now, does the man look good with a little more weight on him? Yes, he does. Mm-hmm. But it is not realistic in any universe. Yeah, I agree. And this is another even more niche thought. I think it's mostly with male actors. I think that men who put on too much muscle, it acts as a sort of a mask and hides them, and they can't really act as well once they develop and put on all that muscle.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, he wasn't really much of like a good actor before, and he was always kind of muscular, but like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and most of the things he does, which I need to see the Smashing Machine, because I hear that that's a little different for him, possibly good, but you know, he's one where it's like he's just so big and everything, and you can't emote when you have all that muscle.
It's just like, hard. And you know what? I dated someone for a little bit who was like super built, and I guess I shouldn't be saying this. Anyway, it was just like, I was just like, it was the first time I realized that I was like, oh, this is protection.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually meant to be a block between you and the world. And like, as an actor, you're supposed to be an instrument that can get played, that like reacts inadvertently to any situation that you're in. So actually, it's completely antithetical to acting. you know, which is why I think it's like too bad, like Jeremy Allen White, who's like become a sex symbol. So now he's always got to be perfect and yoked. And honestly, I don't know if this is just because everybody gets sad when they become a star, but if you see him like doing press or even in the Springsteen movie, he just looks so sad all the time. I'm just like, buddy, you're on the top of the world, but you look like you're going to cry at every moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've noticed that about him, like even since Shameless, because I had went to TIFF. This is the only time I went to the Toronto Film Festival, was back in 2013, and he was in a movie there. I think it's called like We Got to Get Out of This Place. It was him and Mackenzie Davis, I think, were in it, but he was like a happy little like energetic character in that movie, and ever since then he's always been kind of like this bitter, like grizzled character. I don't know.
I know I do think it's helpful to know that like fame and success don't do anything for the internal state. Like we all know this. It's helpful to be reminded, but it does seem miserable to be like on top of the world and look so unhappy about it. You know? Yeah. I think it's a good message for anybody thinking about it. You know, just take a look. Yeah, totally.
And you hinted at a romantic comedy, so you know my next question here was about if you've been writing and if we should expect to see something written directed by you soon. Just kind of, you know, what you could tell me about this project, and you know what do you foresee happening with it, you know?
I have so many things I'm working on, but that I co-wrote with a really good friend of mine, Sarah Apple. It's a romantic comedy. It's like, you know what, actually I feel like she would not even want me to say what it's about because it's such proprietary information, but I was trying to work in like a more commercial modality but still like stay true to it, you know. So that was really fun because I'd never written anything that was explicitly a romantic comedy. So right now we're shopping that around, but I also in the last few years have started writing plays. And so it looks like it's not completely finalized, but it looks like I'm going to be doing a play, putting up a production of mine in New York. And I probably also, because contracts are signed, with some really exciting actors. That's what I'll say. And awesome. In November. So, yeah, the last couple years, I turned more toward theater. I have another feature script that I worked on that I'm writing by myself. So I basically, like, as a writer, and I used to write fiction when I was younger, and I came up in the literary fiction world as a teenager. I used to work for this big writer when I was pretty young. So it's like always just going to different forms whenever it feels good. But you know what? Yeah, I would love to direct a film again. I'm sort of like, my approach to the world is I'm like always writing, always creating new work, and just seeing where the world takes me, you know?
Right.
But it would be a dream. I would have to say that like doing it the super scrappy way, like I did Free Spirit, took years off my life, you know? So I don't know. I don't think I'll ever do it like that indie again, you know? But I mean, we basically made the film for like $60,000, which is amazing, you know? But like I hustled for that money, you know? So if somebody wants to fully fund my next project, I would love to do that.
Right. That'd be the dream right there. That's awesome about theater. There's a lot of, you know, some of the best projects that I've seen on film have been adapted from, you know, a stage play. Like Tommy Lee Jones directed for HBO. He did The Sunset Limited with
I've never seen it.
It's great. It's very bleak. It's written by Cormac McCarthy, so it's kind of what you would expect. Right. But it's a one location thing, and you could tell that it was adapted from a theater.
It's hard because I was thinking one of my plays, I was actually talking with somebody, they were like, you should develop it into a film, which I totally would love to do, but I do think that you have to tease it out of one location because there's just a claustrophobia that you get in films that are adapted from plays that I feel like is relentless in a way that can be a little exhausting. But yeah, I'm always writing. I feel like I remember when I was early in school, in college, one of my teachers was like, I'd finished I don't know if it was a story or a screenplay. And I was like, okay, so I've got this. And now this is my one. And they were like, okay, great. So start another. And I was like, what do you mean start another? This is my thing. And what I finally learned now that I'm older is I'm like, oh, right. I finish one, I start another. And I do everything I can to put it out in the world, but the most important thing is to keep creating new work.
Yeah, I think that's important because a lot of writers, a lot of artists get stuck on one thing and it prevents them from doing literally anything else.
Yeah.
So if you just get in the habit of constantly always doing something, something different, something new, tackling different projects at once, like what you're doing, I think it helps.
I'm always I'm usually in a first draft of something and I'm in an edit of one or two other projects simultaneously. So I'm always trying to have my hands everywhere. And also this idea of going where it's warm, So I wrote one play and then suddenly I had a director I was collaborating with and a group of actors and a community. So then I wrote another, I just I go where it's warm and then I'm open to wherever the stream of life takes me.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way of looking at it too. So I like to start these interviews and I like to end them with the same questions. So this last question here, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And that could be personally or professionally. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit with your many projects you got going on, but where do you see yourself?
In 5 years. Okay. In 5 years, I think I'll still be writing theater and I think I will be doing productions of plays in New York that I wrote. I do think that in 5 years, I foresee myself either, the vision's not totally clear, either having written a screenplay that gets turned into a film, whether I direct that or not, I'm not sure. But yeah, I definitely have a film, actually the first film that I wrote a long time ago, not the first, but called Strayers, which is about this evangelical church community. I would love to direct that film. That would be a dream. And then, I want to keep moving forward with the podcast and because to me, that feels very separate from the art and the writing, it's my civic responsibility versus my personal expression of creativity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just building the audience with that and having a more and more robust coalition and hopefully building kind of a new political party to rise up from the ashes of the Democratic Party.
There you go. That's that's some good ambition right there. Thanks. That's awesome. And the Strayers, that's an interesting angle. So what is it? I want to know now.
Okay, so it's basically about this it's set in this evangelical church community and there's a Sisters in Christ program and basically this teenage girl seduces her married straight big sister in Christ and they have this affair and it's what happens in that
interesting
church. Yeah, it's kind of seedy. It's it's the one that I was talking about. I started pitching it right when Me Too broke out and they felt that it was there's some sexual violence in it, which to me just is life. Do you know what I mean? But people were it was a little bit hypocritical, in my opinion, of the production companies. They were we're looking for woman forward stories. And then I was there's a scene of marital rape in it. And then they were but not that kind of women's stories.
Yeah.
And I was okay. But I love that project. And I think it would be, have you ever seen The Paperboy?
No, I have not.
Oh my God. You have to see it. It's a Lee Daniels movie and it's got Zac Efron. It's the atmosphere is so thick in it, you could cut it with a knife. The tone he's able to capture in it it's really hard. Anyway, you should see it because it's great and very disturbing and strange. But anyway, I would want that kind of tone that film has. So.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope you're able to get some funding for that because that'd be, I think you'd have a better shot at it now that we've kind of, too. The climate's a little different. Yeah.
Yeah. People are loosening up a little bit.
And I think to your point, it's antithetical to wanting to push forward woman forward stories or whatever when you turn something like that down, right?
Yeah, because you're like,
it's
that's just a little
hypocritical.
too real for us.
Yeah. Right. Awesome. But thank you so much for joining me today, Francesca.
Yes,
I really appreciate
of
it. It was great talking with you. I loved Free Spirits, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you
Thanks
so much.